Do you ever have those days? You sit down, ready to be productive, you look at your to-do list and your brain just hits a wall. You know exactly what you need to do. That email you've been putting off. That project you need to finally start. But you just feel completely and utterly paralyzed. So you call it what it feels like. Laziness. You start blaming your lack of discipline or your flimsy willpower, but what if I told you that it's not your fault? What if that feeling of being stuck, that total paralysis, isn't some deep character flaw? What if it's actually a survival instinct gone haywire? An ancient biological response that's completely misfiring in our weird modern world. Today we're talking about a powerful hidden reason you get stuck. It's not laziness, it's your brain's freeze response, and finally understanding it is the first step to getting yourself unstuck for good. Section 1. The vicious cycle of laziness. Let's be real, the feeling is maddening. For you, maybe it looks like staring at a blank document for hours with a little cursor just blinking at you, mockingly. Or maybe it's that mountain of laundry that feels so impossible to start that you end up scrolling on your phone instead, feeling guiltier with every single minute that ticks by. It might even be something as simple as sitting in your car in the driveway, unable to muster up the energy to go inside after a long day. And in those moments, that little voice in our head usually chimes in. "You're so lazy," it whispers. "Just get it done. What is wrong with you?" We think this self-blame is productive, like we're giving ourselves some tough love. Spoiler alert, it has the exact opposite effect. The shame and guilt from not doing the thing just adds another heavy layer of stress. And what does our brain do when it feels stressed and overwhelmed? It shuts down even more. So you don't do the task, which makes you feel bad about yourself. And because you feel bad, you have even less mental energy to do the task in the first place. This is the vicious cycle of inaction and self-criticism, and it digs you deeper and deeper into that quicksand of feeling stuck. It's a toxic loop that leaves you feeling powerless, but the key to breaking this cycle is realizing you're not fighting against laziness. You're dealing with a deeply ingrained biological program. Section 2. The reframe. It's not a flaw, it's a feature. So, what's really going on in your brain? We've all heard of the fight or flight response. When you're faced with a threat, your body gears up to either punch it in the face or run for the hills. But there's a third, often forgotten response. Freeze. Think of an animal in the wild, like a deer that's suddenly spotted by a predator. If it can't fight and it can't run, its best shot at survival is to play dead. It becomes completely still, its heart rate might slow down, its breathing gets shallow. It basically becomes unresponsive. This is the freeze response. It's an involuntary survival tactic designed to help the animal avoid being seen and, live to see another day. Your brain is running that exact same ancient software. The reaction kicks off in a part of your brain called the amygdala, which is basically your personal 24/7 threat detector. Now, the critical thing to get is that your amygdala doesn't just react to physical threats like a hungry lion. In our world, it also reacts to psychological threats. That massive, overwhelming project at work, that difficult conversation you keep avoiding, the fear of failing or being judged. To your amygdala, these can all register as a threat. And when the threat feels too big to fight and impossible to escape, your nervous system can slam on the emergency brake. It picks option 3, freeze. This is the paralysis you feel. It's your nervous system entering a low-power shutdown mode to protect you from what it sees as danger. Your limbs might feel heavy, your mind gets foggy, and making even the smallest choice feels like climbing a mountain. It is not a conscious decision. It's a physiological response that is happening to you. So let's get this perfectly straight. You are not lazy. Your body is trying to keep you safe. Section 3. The trap of learned helplessness. Now, the freeze response is supposed to be temporary. The deer plays dead until the predator wanders off, and then it shakes itself off and gets back to its deer life. But for us, the threats are often chronic. The stressful job doesn't just disappear. The money worries stick around. The self-doubt is a recurring guest. When we repeatedly find ourselves in situations where we feel powerless and our efforts to change things don't seem to work, our brain starts to learn a very dangerous lesson. It learns that struggling is pointless. This is a well-documented psychological phenomenon called learned helplessness. After being exposed to uncontrollable stress again and again, we start to believe we have no control over what happens, so we just stop trying. Even when a real opportunity to change things is right in front of us, this is the superglue that keeps you stuck long-term. The initial freeze response to a task is biological, but when that happens over and over, you start to build a whole belief system around it. You create a story in your head that you're just incompetent, that you can't handle challenges, that there's no point in even trying because you'll probably just fail anyway. This thought pattern is incredibly common for people in high-stress situations, like students facing non-stop exams or professionals dealing with one setback after another. It's the little voice that shifts from saying, "This is a hard task," to "I'm just bad at this." Learned helplessness is what turns the temporary state of freeze into a semi-permanent identity of being stuck. Section 4. The Solve. Part 1. How to thaw the freeze. So, how do we actually break free? If the freeze response is a physiological state, the first step isn't to think your way out of it. It's to use your body to send a new signal to your brain. A signal that says, "Hey, the threat is gone. We're safe now." We have to gently thaw our own nervous system. Strategy 1. Gentle movement. The freeze response is all about being immobile. The antidote is movement. But I'm not telling you to go run a marathon. The goal here is to find a micro yes, the absolute smallest physical action you can agree to. This could be as tiny as wiggling your toes and fingers, stretching your arms over your head, slowly, gently nodding your head yes and no. This tiny physical act starts to break the spell of paralysis and tells your body that you are in control, not the threat. Strategy 2. Activate your senses. When you're frozen, you often feel disconnected from your body and your surroundings. Grounding techniques are designed to pull your focus right back to the present moment. A simple and powerful one is the 5-4-3-2-1 method. Just look around and name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can physically feel, the chair under you, the texture of your shirt, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, 1 thing you can taste. This sensory scavenger hunt forces your brain to reconnect with your immediate, safe environment, acting as a pattern, interrupt for that spiral of overwhelm. Strategy 3. Use temperature. A little shock to the system can work wonders for hitting the reset button. Splashing your face with cold water or even just holding an ice cube in your hand can trigger something called the mammalian dive reflex. It's a biological response that naturally slows your heart rate in a controlled way and helps regulate a panicked nervous system. It's a super quick and effective way to interrupt the freeze and get you back into your body. Section 5. The Solve, Part 2. How to reclaim control. Thawing the freeze gets you moving in the moment, which is great. But to stop it from happening over and over, we need to deal with the underlying learned helplessness. We have to prove to our brain that we are, in fact, the one in the driver's seat. Strategy 4. Engineer small, controllable wins. Learned helplessness grows from a feeling of having no control. We reverse it by creating tiny experiences of absolute control. The key is to break your tasks down into laughably small steps. If clean the kitchen is overwhelming, forget it. What about take 1 dish to the sink? If that's still too much, how about just stand up? The goal is not to finish the task. The goal is to take a single successful action. Then actually celebrate that win. Every tiny win is a piece of evidence you're handing to your brain that says, "See, I can do things. I am in control." This builds momentum and starts to rewrite that old, helpless story. Strategy 5. Engage your thinking brain. During a freeze response, your emotional brain, the amygdala, is running the show, and your logical planning brain, the prefrontal cortex, has basically gone offline. You need to manually switch it back on. The easiest way is to get the thoughts out of your head. Grab a piece of paper and write down just one sentence about what you think you should do. Or make a dead simple pros and cons list. The physical act of planning or list making forces your prefrontal cortex to get involved, which in turn helps calm the amygdala's alarm bells. It shifts you out of feeling and into thinking. Strategy 6. Practice self-compassion. This might be the most powerful strategy of all. That inner critic, the voice of shame that calls you lazy, is a primary trigger for the freeze response. You have to learn to replace that voice with one of compassion. The next time you feel stuck, try saying this to yourself, even out loud. Okay, I'm frozen right now. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm not lazy. My nervous system is just trying to protect me, and that's okay. Acknowledging the response without judging it removes that secondary layer of shame, which is often the very thing that keeps us truly trapped. If this idea of the freeze response resonated with you, if you finally feel like someone gets it, let me know in the comments. Tell me what your stuck moment looks like. Sharing your experience can not only be validating for you, but it can make someone else feel a lot less alone. And hey, if this was helpful, give this a like and subscribe. It's a small action that tells the algorithm this is a message more people need to hear. But the most important thing to take away from all of this is that you are not broken. You are not lazy. You are a human being with a nervous system that evolved to keep you alive. That feeling of being stuck isn't a life sentence, it's a signal. It's just a sign that your brain thinks you're in danger and is trying to protect you. Instead of fighting it with more shame and guilt, you can learn to work with it. You can learn to send your body signals of safety, to break that old cycle of learned helplessness, and to prove to yourself, one ridiculously small action at a time, that you are the one in control. Motivation isn't something you wait for or find, it's something you build. And it all starts with that very next smallest step.